we're going to have a little discussion about choice, question, and your business. And good morning, Siris. How are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, happy is a choice.
How does it
I
get any
heard
better
that.
than that?
Yeah,
What?
I know.
Okay, I didn't get that
know.
memo.
Yeah, I apologize. I will really put it in order to get those memos out in a more timely fashion. I know I should have done the right thing. Siris, tell us a little bit about you and where you're from and what you do.
Gosh, well, right now I am in Savannah, Georgia, and I travel around the world, much like you, facilitating access consciousness classes, and I'm also a speech-language pathologist and learning behavioral specialist. So I see kiddos online and in different school districts, usually on like short-term contracts, doing consultations and evaluations. So I use these amazing tools in every aspect of my business and in every aspect of my life. There's really not a day that passes that I don't use these tools, including question and choice.
Awesome. Well, I'm so grateful that we had this chance to chat this morning and, just kind of like
Me too.
flirt with the energy and what flirt with the content of what question is, what choice is, and how it can apply to your business. Now, I know you're telling us a lot about it. You've got like a mobile online business. You're dealing with people in person and you're dealing with people across the internet. So how does question really work with your business from, like a real matter of fact, way that people could understand?
Well, one of the first things that really helped shift things for me was if I actually was willing to let go of every aspect of my business and not make myself the primary source for all aspects of my business, what would I actually be aware of? Including who would I add to my business and what would I add to my business? Because before I was really stressed out and really tired and just worrying all the time, really not making as much money with the same level of elegance and ease that I'm making now because I was trying to control every aspect of my business myself. I was doing it all. I was doing the actual facilitation and provision of services. I was doing the marketing. I was doing the admin, you name it, I was doing it. And it wasn't as fun as it could have been. So one of the things it's okay, what can you add to your business? Who can you add to your business? And in order for me to even ask that question, I had to look at all of the places where I wasn't willing to receive from other people and other things. And I wonder if that's the case for any of us. Has that ever been the case for you where you saw wow, I wasn't really willing to receive input, acknowledgement, someone's awareness about my business? How does that show up for you?
Yeah. Where you're not willing to receive something coming from your outside world because you got too tight of a control. Is that what you're saying? You're like white knuckling. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that happens all the time in my world. It continues to happen. But I think the biggest piece is coming from a background where question was literally, that was a wrongness to actually ask a question. I remember even as a much shorter person, before I even thought about business, everything was about funny business then, like when I was 5 or 6. It was just if I didn't have the right answer for what Mom was talking about, I was in hot water. I was in the penalty box, and I was getting the evil eye, what? You don't know the right thing to do. And a lot of us, I believe, may have some of that background if, you're coming from a North American perspective. So as I moved forward, what was really key for me as I started to create my businesses back in my late teens, I realized, wow, there was some idle day. I think it was a Tuesday at 2:30. Yeah, that was it. It was a Tuesday at 2:30.
There's a full moon.
It was a full moon. I was feeling emotional, and I don't really remember what was going on there. But I digress. My humor often pops out and just like takes over.
I love it. Go for it. Let's keep going. Laughter is key to business.
Laughter is key to business. Yeah. Well, back to that question thing.
At least my business.
I realized your business. Right. Well, there's a number of different ways you could talk about business. But today's topic, I think, is we're talking about business. It's business time, sort of thing.
All the business.
All the business. All right. I'm expanding it out. I wasn't receiving what you're saying. All the business. Now we're talking about all the business. Okay. Yes. Yeah. There was a point where I recognized, wow, I used to ask questions all the time when I was a kid. Any of you guys that are moms or dads, your kids, when they're short and happy, they're just like, what are we doing next? What about this? Can I have some of that? And that is the energy that, as I brought it back into my business, that made it go pop, that made it go boom. Do you want to talk a little bit, Siris, about why that is? Why question
here's the thing. I mean, the question, absolutely. I would love to talk about that. Like, part of it too, and it's funny that you say that and you brought in the kids because I work with kids. And like, that's, especially that birth to 6 or 8 is exactly my specialty. Like, that's where I've spent the most of my time. And part of why I started gravitating more and more toward that time was because I wanted to nurture that exact idea that you're talking about that was kind of stamped out or not as encouraged with you in your childhood, that to actually explore, to actually wonder. Because here's the thing, a question empowers. A question opens the doors to possibility. And as soon as we are stuck on a right or wrong answer, we're implying that there's only one answer, and we're really limiting what's actually possible to show up. And I tell the parents that I work with and the families I work with, even the professionals and teachers that work with these kids all the time, like, that this is actually what the message that they're sending to the kids. It actually plants the seed in them that actually limits what they can create if they buy that point of view that there's only one answer and one possibility. And there's so many more.
Yeah, is that kind of like the message that's being told to our children, our future, is that, hey, we don't want you to go wild and crazy, big, expansive, and expand the world. We just want you to fit in and contribute that way. Is that what the kids are hearing?
Yeah, that's absolutely what they're hearing. That's what they're hearing in the schools. And it's one of the things that I love now that not many people are necessarily privy to is that there are these little spots of hope that I'm seeing in schools now where they're really seeing that that's not working, that that's not sustainable, that if we're actually going to be at the cutting edge of technology, of learning, of innovation, we need to be more in the question. And so they're bringing in people like me, people like you, people who are willing to be in the question more and more, to consult, to create something different with their school programs and things like that, because they're getting that the teachers are burnt out, the kids are not really having fun, the joy of learning isn't really happening, so what else is possible? So yeah, what would it take for all of us to actually be more in the question so that we can have a lot more fun, not only with our businesses, but with our lives? Like, wow, like it,
right.
That's my target.
Well, I liked how you said with our businesses and with our lives, and something I do in my world is I'm looking at, when I'm facilitating or doing sessions, I'm looking at, well, what if your life was your business? And then bringing in the question, how and what would you change in your business, the business of your life, or your life as a business, whichever one brings best for you. So
yeah,
if we were willing to have that kid element back again and step into the questionary nature, if we were willing to be questionable, wrong kids again. I know that sounds weird, but kids
I totally
really,
get what you mean, though.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids are willing to be wrong,
Mm-hmm.
Like if I remember when I was a kid, if I needed something, I'd just walk over to my mom's leg and I'd grab onto it and put my face up against it. Because I knew that would totally my mom would just be like, oh, wow, okay, wait a minute. Whatever I'm doing is not important anymore. There's my kid. And that energy was me being the question, hey, Mom, I got some needs. Can I ask you about them? Now,
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm not asking people to go like into a crowd, and like go stick their face on someone's leg. What I'm
Are you sure? Are you sure that's not what you're saying?
No. I just to clarify, that is not what I'm saying. No. This is purely example. No. But
so we get some calls from jail cells, like, Matt, I did what you told me, and dude, it didn't really show up.
No. Disclaimer. No. That's not what I said. But yeah,
I love what you said about like the being willing to be wrong. It's also, I like even framing it as like when I talk to my families and even the people in my classes, it's like, let's get messy. Let's be willing to get dirty and like recognize that there's no such thing as a mistake. It's just, all right, what did I learn from this? What did I get from it? What worked and what didn't work? And then do something else. If it didn't work, choose something else. And kids are totally willing to do that. They're like, yeah, let's get in the dirt. Let's get in the sand. Let's muck it up, I love that about them. And what if we could do that with our businesses?
Yeah. How would that look? Can you give us an example how that might look?
Gosh, I've totally mucked things up plenty of times with my business. I'm like, all right, pivot, trying something else. Like from trying to create things with people that it wasn't a good vibe in the sense that like it wasn't complimentary, or adding people to my business that had a sense of lack in their world. And so they were creating things, and they were trying to invite people to classes, to events, and if you're coming from a space of lack, it kind of gets imbued into the invitation, and then people pick up on that. And even if they don't have words for it, they're just like, there's something that's not really really vibing here. I'm not really enjoying that. To really going from a space of choosing things when I was trying to fix, save, or help people and having a superior point of view, and not really looking at all of us have choice, including anyone that think I should be helping and think I should be saving. And I did that with a lot of the clients that I did, and I realized that I was sending them the message unintentionally that they didn't have a choice, that they didn't have the power with that choice to create their lives, to create their businesses. And so I learned from that, okay, that wasn't one of my best choices, and now change into something else. How about you? What's some of the times where you've kind of mucked around, got a little bit messy with your business, and what showed up?
Well, let's see. Brief background of that would be I originally started as a Microsoft engineer in technology. So, I'd gone on a particular path, and that path had some pretty clear-cut, defined answers as far as how you go about what you do and where you're going to go with it. And so I did that for 16 years, and then I realized, whoop, I'm bored. Wait a minute, what's going to happen next? And this was like right before I started using some of these tools. And as I got to that, what else is next? As soon as I asked, I was like, all right, what else is next? I recognized I was incredibly depressed. I mean, like earth-shakingly depressed. And everything I was doing and being at work was really to counterbalance all of this depression. I was a professional positier. Everything was pushing up to try to counteract the pull down. And I was just like, that happened because I asked a question. What's next in my life? Now, I hadn't been willing to ask what was next yet. So that literally was using a question to create the next stage of my life. Now, what happened after that was awesome. All of a sudden, I had 3 smaller businesses that were a lot of fun, and I was outdoors, and I was climbing towers and doing all kinds of wireless connectivity, and it was still in the same vein of things, but there was a total different energy in it because I was willing to not have to project into what my next step was. I was willing to ask, and like you opened the call up with, receive all the input, all of it. So how many people are looking for how to change their business, how to add to their business, or perhaps they want to start a brand new business and they immediately go look to what everyone else is doing?
Yeah.
First thing, how many people out there do that? Yeah, so that's an option, but has it worked for you yet? And what if you just said, okay, universe, God, whoever's upstairs listening, whatever your belief systems are, really make no difference. They all respond quite, like a chorus. And if you were just to say, okay, what else is possible that I've never been willing to ask before or imagine was possible? And then just relax and expand out. And using that way of being with question, I want everybody to have this tool so the world can just go out and start being excited like kids again. Please, you guys, don't use this tool and don't do what I say.
Don't
do it. Don't do it.
Just Siris. Us two.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I want to tell you guys, nobody get bossy with Siris. Because it might be fun.
It doesn't turn out pretty. Yeah, it doesn't really work. You could try it, and then you might get pretty quickly that you'll have to pivot.
Right. You might just need to go to the penalty box. And why am I saying that? Because when you get into that you start getting a little rhythm going with your question, and you start realizing, wow, I just made 5 or 6 questions today, and there's all these new little bubbles of possibility going in my life, like those cool little things on the Facebook Live popping up. And you're like, wow, I don't have to go to my superior officer, my parents who know more, my seniors in my world. I can start receiving what I know when I know it from myself. I get to be the source of my business future. And everything
that's yummy.
Yeah. Well, Siris, can you imagine a world where everyone was the source of their business possibilities and the source of the potential it could be? And we're all just walking around with our little key, and that key is a question. What can I provide to the world that it's begging me to provide, but I've never thought to even ask about it? And universe, can I have that now, please? Can I have that now, please? Can I have that now, please?
Show me. Universe, show me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also love asking, who and what is uniquely asking for me. Because that really, adding the word unique, for me, has really shifted things, because it's actually forcing me to acknowledge that there's certain gifts that are unique to me that no one else in the world has. And I don't have to have words for it. I don't have to cognitize it. It's just, okay, who and what is asking for my unique gifts in the world? And just see kind of what shows up. And it's been so interesting as I've been playing around with that. The people that message me, the places I've gone to travel, the acknowledgement of, wow, you did this video or that, and it's impacted me. I'm sure you've received those as well with all of your amazing videos. And And it's also beyond that. It's like it invites us to create even more. And that's the other thing that has really shifted a lot of what I've been doing with my business is I used to try to do it all so perfect. Because that's the other aspect of what you brought up earlier, right? When you're looking for a right and wrong answer, when there's only one, it's almost like you're striving for perfection. And that used to kill me in my body. It was definitely killing my money.
Yeah.
And that striving for perfection just kills possibility. Instead, it's like, all right, what can I create? And who and what are asking for my unique creations, what I can uniquely create in the world? And a lot of that is just us being us. It's not even a project or like an organization or like a brick and mortar building, anything like that. It's us, like showing up, you know, and having that enthusiasm for life again, and inviting other people possibly to that as well, in whatever way that's the case for them.
That enthusiasm for life, yeah. I mean, how many people are asking for that? They want to get up in the morning and just feel good and have something to race off to that generates so much excitement in their life that everything else, they don't have to judge it or give it some point of view. They just kind of like, yeah, I'm doing this. Thank you for what you're doing too. And how much do we all hunger to be surrounded by people like that? They're like, yeah, I'm having a great time. How are you? Oh, check that out. Look at all that cool stuff going on in your world. Bye. Sort of thing.
And it's really generative. That's the other thing. It's when I said add people to your business, it can be just the conversations like this. It doesn't have to be hiring them on as an employee or a contractor. It's those people where you can have those conversations and all of a sudden you're aware of even more things that are possible. They light you up with their enthusiasm, with their energy, and then you're like, all right, I'm ready to go. Let's get some more. All right, world, watch out, you know? Like that.
Yeah.
And you are that for me, Matt, so thank you.
You're welcome. Well, is that a good segue to talk about, our topic here, which is the second piece, which is choice. So you got question, choice, and we're talking about your business. So can you talk a little bit about how choice fits into our conversation, Siris?
Gosh, well, each time you ask a question, all these bubbles of possibility show up, like you said, and I love bubbles. So I love that you said it that way because I think of it as bubbles too. And then you get to choose one of them. And with that, you get all of this information. And that's it. All it really is, to me at least. It's just information. It's like, hey, this is possible now. This is what's going on. And then you get to receive from that choice, from that space, that person, that situation that you chose, and you get to ask questions again about if that's going to work or not. If that's actually congruent and matches what you'd like to create.
Yeah. So you're asking for something and it pops up and you choose it. Well, what do you do if there's 12 bubbles, Siris? Excuse me, I've got a bubble in my nose, apparently.
There's usually more than 12 bubbles from my experience. We'll start with 12. But it's like, okay, which one first? I actually go to the question again, and I say, all right, which one first? Which one's fun? Which one is kind of pulling at me most right now? And for me, a lot of times it actually does stand out more, one of them. It kind of like lights up like a ping! And then I'm like, all right, I'll do that one first. So, and it's not that the other ones are less shiny and bright. It's just there's something energetically that kind of is calling about one of them more in that moment. And even if I chose one of those other ones, it's not wrong to choose one of the other ones. It's not pinging. It's just like I've learned more and more with practice to follow my knowing about, oh, this one seems to have a stronger charge to it. This one seems to have this sense of more expansion where when I ask, well, what would it create if I chose this one? And going back to question again, what would it create if I chose this one? There seems to be more of an expansiveness there than some of the other ones. Than the one that's like, okay, I follow the one that is kind of louder, or when I ask which one first, it steps up. And it's like, me, please. I'm like, okay, I guess we'll pick you first.
Mm-hmm.
How does that show up for you? How do you know to choose between the 12 or 12 million?
Well, that's a great question. And I'm just reading one of our comments here. Jesse Stay says, he asks this question when all the bubbles pop. It's like, what can I choose different here? And often, like when I was a kid, my favorite thing in the world was Pepsi. Oh my God. As soon as I hit teenager years, my mom, she must have loved me because I got to have at least 2 Pepsis a day. And if I didn't get them, it was the same thing. Stick your face on her leg. Although it was a little late at 13, so maybe I didn't say that. But coming back to the content, it's like if you're willing to be in that energy of different with your choices, if someone shows you up and shows you a plethora of different options for your next challenge, for your next, the next thing you're doing with your business, and you look at them all like you were talking about, Siris, and one of them's like super bright, then there's these other ones, maybe they're a little bit muted, but you're pulled to them. Like you said, there's a pull to them. Can you go ahead and choose 5 of them? Would you be willing to?
What?
I know. How many people aren't? Okay, this is a big part in my own personal process and how I work with my clients, is how many people are applying monogamy to their business.
Oh my goodness. That's going to be a whole other topic. We could talk forever about that. Yeah, it's funny because I did a call called Choosing It All because it was very much about that. It was like we've been told that we get one cookie, we get one job, one partner, and it's like, well, what else? One business, it's like, well, what if you could add a bunch of different things? So even when I'm saying when I'm asking the question, which one first, it's definitely like, and then what, and then what, and then what, and then what, from their point on. And sometimes I find that when I first started off, because I was very much thinking that I had to only choose one, when it came to business, I was willing to choose multiple with a bunch of other things in my life. But with business, I was very much like, oh, one job, one profession. This is who I am. That's it, And one of the things I got was like, oh, what if I actually generalized my willingness to be polyamorous in other aspects of my life to my business and really add as much to it as possible, really ramp it up. And but what helped me initially was starting with the one at a time until I could add on and add on and add on, but still holding on to the awareness and still holding on to the information that I was getting from those earlier choices. So it wasn't like all of a sudden you delete that choice and those awarenesses. It's like, let me have all of that, and I'm adding on more to it.
Yeah. I've had that same thing for me. Because when I finally had 3 businesses, when I'd successfully deployed 3 businesses, side by side, that was when my life started to explode. Up to that point, I didn't even know, because like you mentioned, I thought I should have one business, one partner, one house, one life. The one. Dun, dun. But the one that is boring. I need a dominion. Now, when I hit those 3 businesses, all of a sudden the productivity of all my businesses skyrocketed. They literally exponentially started going 200%, 300%, 400%. Now,
they get to contribute to each other. They get to flirt with each other.
They get to flirt with each other. Oh my God. How long have we been waiting to talking about that?
Am I allowed to talk about flirting? Okay.
About bird talk? Hello? Chirp, chirp, chirp. Tweet, 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 tweet. But you guys get how fun that was when Siris said, tweet, tweet, tweet. That's the playfulness that if you're ever so daring, you can add back into your business. But how much does this world nix it out and say, no, that's not okay. This is how we do it. Keep it serious, keep it calm, keep it collected, And as soon as you're out of your business meeting, then you can scream and run around the block naked a couple times because you're insane about there was no joy in my business sort of thing.
Yep, been there. Been there.
So is joy something you could choose to put in your business too?
Absolutely, you can choose it. I'm choosing it. I had it with the kids I worked with, and then everything else, the bureaucracy, the paperwork, and things like that, I didn't have it before. And now I'm asking for that and demanding that of myself and really making it a priority in all aspects of my business. If it's not fun, if I can't make it fun in some way and find a way to like get some levity to it, forget it. It's just not really sustainable for me. It's not really going to last long because even my business, when I ask my business questions and things and receive its awareness, it's asking for that too. It's like, can we have some more fun, please?
Yeah. Can I have some more fun now, please? Chirp, chirp, tweet, tweet. Exactly.
We say pio 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 in Spanish. Pio 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 pio.
Pio, 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 pio. I'd be talking to the larger birds maybe, but pio, pio, pio.
I was like, what bird was that?
I kind of sound like I'm like a priest or something. That was weird. Who knows? We can talk about past lives another time. But
that's a whole other thing, yeah.
Right? No wonder. I wonder if I was done a little too much kneeling somewhere. Anyway, pocket pot. Forget about that. I didn't say that. I'm going to stay on track here. I'm staying on track.
Sure you are. Sure you are. Well, and that's the other thing, too, is how many of us are having one business or only having, a certain way. We're only trying to be on one track in our business. We're not actually willing to change tracks, to shift tracks, to really actually like have 360 degrees of awareness about our business, and that is really looking at.
So we'll be coming back to you guys more later. It sounds like we've got a lot of conversations here with Siris Rivas. If there's anything in this video that actually applies to your life and that you can apply to your business now, your business, this is the business of your life, would you be willing to apply them now and use the tools, get the nuggets out of this, and know that you being you can totally change the world? When you're choosing happy, what else is possible? We'll look forward to talking to you guys soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.